Wow, you found your way to the Female Way podcast. My name is Humita Premmiela, and I'm so honored that you're here. Let's have a great time together. So here we are, another podcast. And this time it's not only me, but I have a beautiful guest. And what I like the most about her, I often recognize myself in her. Sometimes I hear myself talking, or she's been sharing with me things that are going on in her life, and I'm like, oh. Um, so I always find it very interesting to spend time with her. And what can you expect from us in the, well, let's say coming 20 minutes? Because as you know me, I like to keep my podcast short and powerful. And today, in this conversation, you can expect authenticity, some real and raw truth, real feminine energy, womanhood, and what you also going to pick up today is you don't have to choose one profession. You can be it. You can do all and be all. My guest has been around. She is one of those women who can do everything. She can be and create anything she wants. And she has done a lot in her life. So she has also some profound life lessons to share with you. And yes, we will speak about the female way. She's been in one of my signature programs around Tantra. So she's going to share with you what made the difference for her, what was the expectation around Tantra. Because I do realize that Tantra is still a little bit scary for a lot of people. And honestly, between you and me, Tantra is offered in so many ways, in so many flavors, in so many colors, that you kind of get lost there, out there. Like, what is it? And if I'm working with the female way, what can I expect? And my guest, she's been around, she knows. So you're gonna enjoy a lot of truthful wisdom. Nat, welcome. I'm
Thank
so
you
happy
so
that you're
much for
here.
that beautiful introduction. My goodness. Thank you, straight from the heart.
Yeah, and thank you for making time and thank you for showing up, especially in these busy days, but also in your busy life. Let me I have one like burning first question. How how did you become the life lover you are?
Oh God, a small question from the start. How did I become the burning life lover that I am? I think it started when I was little. I was born in Frankfurt, Germany, and I grew up in the States in New York. And I got introduced to acting when I was really, really young, when I was like 3 or 4 years old, because I was a child that always got stunned by her emotions. I had so many emotions going on inside my body, and because there were like too many emotions, I just kind of froze. And acting helped me bring them out, understand them, feel them in my body. And that's when I noticed, this is what like being alive feels like. And then stepping and tapping into different roles and different characters really, really helped me see life from different points of views. So it wasn't always a very subjective way that I walked through life because I had so many different stories in me playing all the time that I was always like, this perspective is interesting. This is new. I didn't know this. Or through acting, you also get to research a lot of things and challenge a lot of things or provoke people if you want. And that was something I really learned to do. And with time, after a while, you lose that childhood playfulness and innocence, and all of a sudden you're this teenager with all the drama, and then you try to be a young grown up, whatever that means, but you think you got life figured out, and now you need to do the job and you need to go to uni, and it's all this like, I need to. But
Mm.
this like whole fire, or as I like to call it, magic that we have inside of us was just kind of just out. It wasn't
Yeah.
there anymore. And I felt I was doing something that a system had told me to do, but that I actually
Mhm.
didn't really want to do. And as soon as I, yeah, started noticing that, or my body actually told me because I had a really intense burnout in 2019 that at the end was so horrible that my entire left side was paralyzed. That was when I like woke up and noticed, what am I doing? I
Yeah.
don't feel like I'm being led by the fire. I feel like I'm burning myself. And to this day, I do think that burnout was like a phoenix. I had to burn in order to rise out of the ashes again and discover that playfulness and the innocence and all that again.
Yeah. Yeah. Often it does. Burnout is a gift. It comes to tell you something.
Hmm.
Wow, that's so beautiful. And I mean, I see you as the queen of playfulness. Is it something you took out of acting? Or were you born like a playful, jolly, happy girl?
I was actually really, really shy. Like, I'm still a shy
Ooh.
person, which is hilarious because I've seemed very extroverted, but like when it actually comes to the core Nat, I'm very shy to this day.
Mm.
But I think it had to do with acting, being able to, at that early age, discover all the emotions you can kind of have in your body and feel and express them. Because, as children, especially as little girls, you kind of get taught to suppress a lot of emotions and be a certain way and be the good girl. And in acting, when you get to play a young bitch or whatever, you just let it fly. And it felt so good. And I was also someone who grew up in the States. And the States, I mean, they're incredible, not now, but like when it comes to children, they encourage playfulness. They encourage creativity. They encourage being who you are and getting that out of you.
Mm.
And that was something that I think I was really, really lucky with to just figure out that I have so many different ways of expressing myself and being creative and being playful. And coming back to Germany, a country that's like very proud of efficiency, even though that's like from years ago, and very structured and organizational. I didn't fit in here, and the playfulness didn't really find room as well. So I just kind of stopped being playful because everyone kept telling me, stop, stop, stop. You're too
A
much. You're
hundred
too big.
percent. Because in Europe, we're not, if, I mean, if you go to the free school, yes, but if you go to regular schooling,
Yeah.
we don't know that. We don't know the playfulness and getting to know yourself and expressing, and
Yeah.
that's very odd in Europe.
Yeah, to me, to this day, I don't understand the concept of school that starting fifth grade or first grade, actually, you need to sit as a child for six to
Yeah.
7 hours. And I'm just like baffled because there's so much energy in children. It needs out. And we're just like, sit still, behave, don't talk. And it's like, do you know children?
You ever been a child? You know
Yeah.
the energy moving through your body? Yeah. Yeah.
I think people forget. I think people forget
Yeah.
children. And funny thing I always have is when I walk past playgrounds, I'm always like, why do children get playgrounds? Why don't grown-ups get playgrounds? Why aren't there like
Exactly.
grown-up playgrounds? And
Yeah.
yeah, you're just
Yeah.
not allowed to play as a grown-up. You're
Yeah.
supposed to work and
Yeah.
help the
Yeah.
economy and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, luckily the world is changing, and we're kind of figuring out that we as adults playing and playfulness and moving and movement, releasing energy is one of the most important things. I mean, not only for our
Absolutely.
health, but for our creativity, our happiness, our zest for life.
Hmm.
That's why I'm so happy we have now aesthetic dance. People are more outside. People are connecting to nature more.
Hmm.
So, before we go a little deeper, maybe you want to share with our audience. I mean, you've been an actress, you've been around. What are you doing nowadays? Maybe you want to introduce yourself a little bit. Where are you in the world?
Where am I? Currently, I'm in Munich, Germany. A love-hate relationship with the city, as probably a lot of people know who've been here. It's pretty, but it's also very superficial. Um, Yeah, who am I? What do I do? Well, at the moment, there is so much happening. This year has taken a turn after another and giving me curveballs. And I was like, this year I'm going to do this. And the universe was like, nice try, Nat. Let's do something else. And I was just like, oh God, oh God. So much shadow work this year already. And I'm just like, it needs to stop. It's too much for me to handle right now. And I'm someone I can take a lot, but like this year, and I mean, it's just June right now. It was a lot.
But you know what's happening at the moment when you share and you think, okay, it needs to stop. This is enough. Life will give you more.
I know. And at one point,
Okay.
I just surrendered. I was like, come on,
Yeah.
keep it going. Whatever needs to come. Apparently, there's more to be cleansed or released or looked at. And I think that's something I really, really learned through the work with Tantra to just surrender. And I mean, something that you and I worked with a lot was just acceptance. And it's, I think, to this day, the biggest journey that I go through with everything because I do a lot of things. I'm an actress, I'm a podcast host myself, I'm a breathwork teacher, I'm a mentor for women. I do a lot of like somatic emotional releases with men and women, but mostly women always feel drawn to me. I write stories, short stories, poems. I create events called, like next week, we have one coming up again called Teenage Angst, where we read out of our teenage diaries to strangers to just connect. And that is basically my mission in life is just make people connect again in a world where we're so trained to be individuals and always be special. And I think we all need to hear that we are special. We don't need to be it. We
Mhm.
already are special. And that is, I think, the biggest mission that I've put myself on without even choosing it. I just feel like it's always come to me. Even in acting, I always said I don't need to be famous. I just really want to create something where people sit there and they can identify it with it and they don't feel alone, or where I can voice something when other people's voices aren't heard. And so, yeah, I'm a big advocate for community, for connection, for love centered exchange. But also, provoking is something I love to do. um,
Mm.
to make a change, to bring different perspectives in, to talk about topics in my podcast, for example, that people don't talk about because it's shameful or there's too much guilt on it. And I just really think if you really want something to change, you need to actually look at it, like with the shadow work. And you can, like you said, you can say stop, 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 but the more you say stop, it's going to hit you. And the more you learn to surrender and accept what I'm working on, um, it'll all be able to flow in a nice way.
And you just tapped into what Tantra brought you is acceptance, learning to accept where you are and that life is perfect as it is, because
Hmm.
you are in the well, let's say perfect spot. Even though sometimes it doesn't look like that. What are the three major things you have learned in these last 9 months?
I think one of the biggest things I learned in the last 9 months is redefining womanhood for myself.
Mhm.
Um, I'm a very, I have a lot of masculine energy. I'm very powerful. I'm someone who like really likes to take on things, get them started, get them finished. I have no problem taking on the leads in small groups, big groups, whatever, even if I have no idea what I'm doing, but like it somehow always seems to work out. And
Yeah.
in that sense, I'm really, really fearless. But when it comes to all these feminine topics like surrendering and accepting and softness, or what we
Mm.
also once talked about, embracing my inner hermit,
Yeah.
not being lazy, that was, I think, one of the biggest things I got to learn in these last 9 months is what does femininity and living the feminine life mean for me. And Tantra really, really helped me balance those polarities and understand, yeah, the masculine can always take you as far as it can take you, but you need to invite the feminine at one point to have the balance. And I think for myself, I really understood, okay, how do I do it? So often, like for example, in working as an entrepreneur, you have so many hats on all the time. I use like the masculine as a framework. And then I have my structure, I have my to-do list, my organization, but then I invite the feminine to play and to let the flow happen, which allows me to be creative again and have new perspectives or a different sense of being. And I don't stick to certain timelines anymore for myself because I can notice and feel in my body, okay, these 2 hours are really, really good focus, but now let's get it a rest. Let's go for a walk, fresh air, nice food. What can I do to myself to refuel myself in a really loving and caring way? And I never used to live that way, never. And I think
Mm.
that's one of the biggest takeaways is how can I love myself more and embrace my feminine more and give her space because I never
Yeah.
used to give her space because I also didn't know what it meant to be a woman. I
Nope.
just didn't know. I
Nope.
always had that feeling like Britney Spears being stuck in that song. I'm not a girl, but not yet a woman. And I just felt in that in between for a really long time. And I mean, now I'm have this other thing coming where you also helped me a lot through is acceptance. And there are a lot of things in my life that always come towards me. Like right now, I'm pregnant and I didn't plan this and I didn't expect it. And I was in like shock. And I was thinking about having an abortion. And I never thought I was going to be a person who thinks about having an abortion. And all these shadows came up like, who am I? What do I want? I'm so ashamed of myself and everything. But then accepting that this is the gift you're given. And that has also
Mhm.
helped me embrace a whole, or helping me right now, embrace a whole new version of womanhood in myself while still allowing the masculine to be there. Because I've also tried to just live the feminine way. And that did not work at all because we do need both. And that's also something
And
I
that's a very good point. I mean, what you've just shared is just full of wisdom. Somehow along the way, we did not really learn what is femininity, how can it work for us, how to be a woman and embrace all her qualities, but do it in a way because we all have the masculine and the feminine within us.
Mhm.
And you want to have this ultimate sacred marriage to thrive in life. And it's a concept what is constantly changing. And what you do so well and what I admire in you, you have the people around you and you're completist. I mean, you've been my private client, and the way you show up for yourself, that's why you got so much benefit out of it because it's a two-way direction because you're so honest, you're pouring out your heart, you're showing up, you're moving beyond the shame because the shame we all have. I mean, I'm doing this. I started as an entrepreneur in 2011.
Mhm.
When I am in a certain space or a live event, it's always shame number one who comes up. This little friend, he knocks on my door, and without even opening, he just kicks in and he eats me alive. He really, I'm like, ugh. And sometimes you recognize it and sometimes not. But the only way is to go through.
Mhm.
And um, and what you also shared, and I'm very grateful for that. We know Tantra from a lot of sexual practices. It's all about sex. It's like hours of sex. It's like multi orgasmic. Well, it can be all of that as well. But I love yeah, where you tapped into is it's the acceptance, it's a lifestyle, it's you were born as a tantrika. I mean, I was born as a tantrika, and it's a little bit more easy because, my Indian family and my roots and la la la. But you and all the people listening, I'm not more as a tantrika. You are as much as a tantrika as I am. The only thing is that I've seen my grandfather practicing the prayers and the rituals and all of that. It's a matter of peeling off the layers. So
Mhm.
even when you are in Munich, Germany, in this beautiful place, you can still live as a tantrika. And what would that mean to you, like living as a tantrika?
I think I'm still figuring that out, but I think that's what it means for me. It's not a set lifestyle.
Mm.
I think the
No,
only
not set
set
in stone.
thing, yeah, I think the only set thing for me as a tantrika is being true to yourself and listening to yourself and following your heart. And
Mm.
since I had closed my heart off for such a long time up until that burnout, and it was mirrored in the most horrible ways in like relationships, friendships, also family relationships up to that point. And then when I started working with Tantra and it got introduced to my life, everything changed because I let my heart melt or the walls come down or however you want to call it, because I gave myself the allowance to actually listen to it. I was so trained, and not even like my mom or anyone was like, you need to listen to what the outside world wants from you. Like, she's very strong and she was always like, you do you. But as a woman, I think you're automatically just put out into this world and you need to be fancied by everyone. You need to be better than the woman next to you, which I also do not understand. To this day, I don't understand the thing about female competition. Just to me, absolutely bizarre. And I
I was
think,
so sorry to interrupt you. I was so touched by the love you received in our last session.
yeah,
Women from all over the world, one beating heart.
that was incredible. I had goosebumps and chills over my body, especially because we need to also kind of say that for everyone listening. I don't know these women. Like, I've been on the road with them now for these like 8, 9 months with your program. But it's not like we meet every week and we talk on the phone and exchange in private Zoom calls every now and then. But we come on to this platform once a month, and if we feel like it, we share. And just being unapologetically accepted for the person that you are, I think is the biggest gift in these group sessions that you host for us. And I think that's also something as a tantrika I really want to bring into the world is that I just don't judge. I just try to, I don't know, help people be more unapologetically them and embrace who they
Mm.
are and not be scared to be too much, whatever that means.
Yeah, beautiful. And what you shared before, like all these emotions, everything is welcome because we are, especially when we're gifted, like we are and like you are, we have a lot of emotions and
Hmm.
we're often too much or too less or in between. I mean, people like us and like you, everyone will always have an opinion because
Yeah.
we have an opinion about ourselves as well. If we would be a little bit more neutral, the world would approach us with more neutrality as well. But we are these strong personalities with all the flavors. And what I love so much, and that's why I was so touched also in our group, it was very truthful.
Hmm.
The women really show up, and you were all these talented, all round, like international, and a few things these women have in common is we are life lovers.
Hmm.
We want to live life to the fullest because it takes courage. And that's why I like to speak also about these topics, it takes courage to face yourself, to do
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's easier to just be a copycat. I just follow the mainstream and walk in
Hmm.
the middle. But like I told you and I told the whole group, if you are in my world, you cannot walk in the middle. Not in the end, not in the middle. You're up front. You're the tantrika sharing your energy. And that's the acceptance, that's the joy for life, that's the spark for life. You're making love with life, not only with your beloved in between the sheets, no, with everyone you meet.
Mm.
When you come in, someone is entering the room.
Hmm. Yeah, I think what I love about the group of women that we get to share these 8, 9 months with as well, because I always thought if I'm going to be myself, I'm going to be alone because I'm too
Wow.
much or too successful or too big or then I outshine someone. And
Yeah.
that was my belief system for a really, really long time because I was always told you're too much, you're too opinionated, especially in acting. You have too many ideas, you have too many things you don't want to do or you do want to do. Just shh was kind of what I was always told. And with this group of women, I really noticed, like you said, we all have this hunger for life and trying to figure out what that means to us, or in a different way said, what does being a tantrika mean to us in life? What is our mission in life? But we're
Mm.
all still individual women. And that like also really opened up my eyes again that I can be myself, I can be this big personality and have all these interests and be able to do all these different things at the same time. But I can also be part of a group who actually also just wants to enjoy life to the fullest. And that was
Yeah.
something really, really helpful for me on the last like 8, 9 months on this journey to just notice I'm not alone. Being yourself does not mean you're going to be an outsider at one point. It actually means you're going to find people who are very different than you, but also very, very similar, and they're going to uplift you in a very special way.
Yeah. Yeah. And being yourself. Yes, it takes a lot of courage, but that's where life really starts.
Hmm.
And it doesn't always get easier, but it gets more flowy, more more you, but also, and that's the biggest benefit, you can attract more magic, like you becoming a mommy now.
Hmm.
Not expected, now so welcome, and you're going to be the most amazing mom in the world without zero doubt. You're such a natural talent. And yeah, it was such an honor to have you in my world. And I want to ask you, what is you like? I like, I like to speak about desires and embracing your dreams, and you cannot, all your dreams, one day they will come. And you cannot dream outside of your possibilities. So, what is your desire and what are your dreams?
Um, I think a dream that's always been stuck with me, and I feel like I'm getting closer and closer and closer to not having a dream anymore, but be reality, is finding home. And I
Mm.
always thought home was a place. I was very, very convinced that my home was always going to be New York City. And that if I move back there, everything's gonna go back to how it was as a kid. And, so it was kind of like actually trauma now that I think about it. But, but I think the thing with me has always been home. What is home? And I looked for home in so many people, in so many relationships where I was like, why did you do this? Your intuition said,
Mm.
don't date this guy. And you're just like, yes, I will date this guy. I think we've all been there. Or finding home in people because it was too scary to find it in myself. And I think that is something I've always dreamed of, to just have that calmness and physical, mental relaxation of just have waking up and feeling home in yourself. And that doesn't mean being overjoyful every day. It just means I know who I am and I know my dark sides as well as my light sides, and being like still being surprised by myself every day. And I think that's one of my biggest desires and dreams that I have, to just, yeah, have that feeling of home. And I can feel that I'm coming closer to it every day. It got rattled a lot, I'm not gonna lie, when all of a sudden that pregnancy test was positive and I was like, oh my God. I can't do this. I am not grown up. I am 34 years old. I'm supposed to be grown up. I feel like a kid. I can't do this. So that like whole like, oh yes, I feel serene in my body, in my home. I'm good. I was completely crashed for a reason. Um, but I think that's the biggest thing. Otherwise, I think one of my biggest desires and dreams right now as well is to just, because I've only been an entrepreneur for a year now, is to just be more me and stop listening to what people tell me you have to do in order to succeed in the business industry, and just trust that whatever I believe or feel is going to be the correct thing. I mean, you once gave me this, oh, this beautiful mantra that just sticks with me every day at work. And it was, whatever, every decision you make for yourself is the right decision for yourself. And it's just, I'm not even a big mantra person. I can't really relate to them quickly, but that one just hit home. And it's been with me for like 3 months now. And it's just, I can't even explain to you. It's just doing something to me. And it gives me so much hope. It gives me joy. It gives me anger that like transfers into creativity and hopefulness. And yeah. And then obviously a childhood dream, which I still haven't gotten into reality, is finally seeing a dragon. But, never say
Mm.
never. They are out
No,
there.
exactly. Wow, that's a nice one. That's a nice one. I love it. And that's one of the, when you walk the path of Tantra, and especially the mystical path of Tantra, it's on one hand very simple and very to the point because it's the essence of how we're living and it's the way home.
Hmm.
And when we speak about home, it's the way home to yourself.
Hmm.
And then it doesn't matter if you're in New York City or you're in Munich or Frankfurt or Amsterdam, you're always home.
Hmm.
And even when you're in the most shitty place, you feel home, you feel blessed, you feel so grateful. And that is the most beautiful feeling in the world. So thank you for walking the path with me. And I'm really, really excited to follow you and to know where you're going and what you're going to do. Can you share a little bit? Where can the listeners, the people who are interested to know more about you? You said you're an entrepreneur since a year. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram. My handle is Own Your Magic with Nat, because that's what I try to teach or bring into the world, the magic that we have in us, so that we can spread it out into the world at one point. I'm
Mm.
currently actually redeveloping my website, but it's going to be magicwithnat.com. I'm just like in the process of completely redoing that because, yeah, a lot of things have changed ever since I started last year.
I like that. Magic with net.
Yeah, Magic with
Strong.
Nat. And yeah, otherwise just always hit me up on Instagram. My email is also on Instagram. I do a lot of stuff online. I do a lot of stuff in Munich, in German, as well as in English. So that's how you can easily find me.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward. I know the world is going to have a lot of magic with net, and
Mm,
you're going to change some lives. Yeah, 100%.
thank you.
And if you're interested in Tantra and the path that Nat has, well, has walked for the last 8 months, we're arriving at the last month, the initiation, module 9. It's the art of becoming a woman, Tantra for professionals, and the doors are open. So just give us a little buzz, and we love to tell you more. Thank you for listening. I told Nat in the beginning, well, normally my podcasts are around 20 minutes. Well, we're about to hit the 37. And I feel I could do double with you. I have
Go
so many
on.
questions, so you will come back. Thank you for your
Perfect.
time,
Yeah.
sweetheart. I also want to honor your energy. It was an exciting day for you. And I love having you. I always love to connect with you. Thank you for being you.
Ugh, thank you.
Until
Thank you for bringing all of this beautiful Tantra magic into the world. And to this day, I'm so, so happy that I found you and we got to do these 8.5 and almost 9 months together because, I mean, you know it yourself. It was a lot of up and down with me, and I'm not always the easiest person. As I said, I like to provoke. Um, but
you
like
did, you did.
yeah. Um, but you have such an incredible way, and I mean, you've talked about your path and your podcast a lot on Instagram. You open up so beautifully, so it's such an honor to be guided or have been guided these last 8 months and the next month to come by someone who's so authentic, so honest, and so real. And even though there's so much going on in your life, you just always show up, and that's something I am forever grateful for because you could have also easily said, sometimes I'm tired, I don't want to do this, but you're just there. And that also gave me the confidence to, you don't need to be perfect all the time. You can just be who you are, and it's going to be enough no matter how you show up. So you give so many gifts out to the world. And if anyone is interested in Tantra for professionals and has questions, and I know sometimes it's scary to actually ask the teacher, you could also just reach out and ask me, and I'll answer questions if they're like doubts or anything.
Mm, thank you for your loving words. I really appreciate. And thank you for this lovely conversation. Till we meet again. Thank you for making it all the way through the end. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in my life. Please, I would be so grateful if you give it a 5-star so other women can also find this podcast. We're in it together. Together we change the world. If you want to know a little bit more, go to www.humita.nl. Let's dance in this life together. Sending you love. Till we meet again.